What's up, Beardos? Today I'm going to go through with you how to frame an image the way that you want using an awesome tool called the Framing and Mosaic Wizard, which is part of Sequence Generator Pro now. Sequence Generator Pro is a very popular image acquisition software. It's probably either number one or number two is between this and Nina, which is a free software. It has this awesome Framing and Mosaic Wizard that you can use to actually create the sequences that you need for capturing deep sky images and taking all the guesswork out of the framing it up. Now, I'm going to show you how I do it. I typically will do this out in the field. By out in the field, I mean in the backyard. The reason why I do that is because I like to do a plate solve before I actually create my sequence. And the plate solve gives me the angle of rotation that the camera's in. So rather than like try to figure out what angle I want, 9 times out of 10, I don't want to shift things around. I don't want to move things around. And so I will leave the camera and the scope in the position that it's in. And I won't change my camera rotator because a lot of times I'm doing multiple targets. I might do targets on different days. I might have multiple targets in one night, you know, and so I don't want to be moving the camera around a lot or changing things up too much. So I do like to do the plate solve first. To do the plate solve, basically you will slew your telescope. You'll first align your telescope, do a polar alignment, and then you'll slew your telescope to using the hand controller to like a star or something like that. And then in your sequence, so you'll create a sequence in Sequence Generator Pro, and you'll go to View, Show Control Panel, and then Plate Solve. Now there's two options here. There's a blind plate solve, and there's a solve and sync. If you have your telescope connected, this is much faster. The blind solve will actually, by default, it will send your, it'll snap an image and send it off to astronomy.net. It takes like 10 minutes or so. Solve and sync uses one of the other plate solvers that are available. I use Plate Solve 2, and it will happen in a matter of seconds. Now, this is not going to work because I am connected to simulators, and the simulators, when you hit Solve and Sync, there is the RA and the deck of the telescope are sent as hints. So that's like the starting point. And then what happens is the plate solver will start searching around that point until it finds to where you've taken your image. And then it will set the, it'll sync, which means it will save that position into your mount. So, but I'll hit it anyway, and I'll show you basically what happens. So what's going on right now is it's taking a 5-second exposure because that's what I've set it to here. And then it launches the plate solver, and you'll see here the RA and deck where it started is basically where this is at. And then it'll start doing the a search that way. Okay, so I'm going to stop it right now, and I'll show you how this actually works. So I will open an image, and we'll open this NGC 6992, which is the Eastern Veil Nebula. And there's so many different ways to plate solve with this tool. I'm just going to right click on the image and hit plate solve. There's the RA hint, there's the deck hint. So this actually came from the FITS header of this image file. And I'll hit solve, and you'll see it will find it right away. There it goes. Only search one region. And then once it does its mandatory 10-second wait, it will show me the RA in the deck and the angle of rotation. And if you truly solved in sync, this will actually get stored, and it will be pre-populated in the Framing and Mosaic Wizard. But like I said, I'm not going to be able to do that here. Okay, Framing and Mosaic Wizard. If we go to Tools, Framing and Mosaic Wizard, it pulls up this nifty little tool, and there's a few sections of this. All the sections are important, but the first few are actually the most important. So if we had solved in sync, this would be pre-populated with 90 degrees, which is important. Here on step 1, you put in the object that you want. So let's say I want to do the North American Nebula, NGC 7000. You can also put a URL for Astrobin. You can put the specific RA and DEC if you know them. You can upload an image. So you can like pull from one of your previous images, for example. And then you put the field of view, and the field of view is basically how much of the sky you want to see. So we're going to leave this at like 5 degrees. If you want to find out more about what this all means, I recommend you check the focal length video that I've got. Okay, in the next section, you have basically it's information about your telescope or lens. In this case, I'm using a lens, 135 millimeter lens, as well as your camera. And let's just take a look at that. This is the pixel scale. Again, this is also, I described this and explained this in my focal length video. This is how many arc seconds you will see on a single pixel in the camera. And in this case, it's 5.8 arc seconds. So it's a small area of the sky. The pixel width and height basically come from your camera sensor size. And then over here, the overlap, this is used if you're doing a mosaic. I'll show you guys how to do a mosaic here real quick with it. But it's what percentage of each panel is going to overlap the other one. And then the next one is basically how you actually define the target that you're trying to image. Additionally, you are able to change the rotation. And then over here is basically how many tiles you have. So let's just hit real quick. Let's do 10 degrees and we'll hit fetch real quick. And you'll see I pulled it back. And you see here at 90 degrees, looks a little weird. I can get it looking like this. I think I can make it look a little better by putting it back. And then I can, set up my framing. Really as easy as that. What's cool about this? So number one, it makes, like I said, it takes all the guesswork out of it. Number two, let's say that I don't want this, I don't really want this huge wide field image. Now, you can change this pixel scale. And you can do it a couple of different ways. If you go to File, Apply Profile to Sequence, I'm not going to do this here. But if you select one of your other profiles, so if you have set up the GT81, right, it will change that value to be whatever this equipment profile has in it. Yeah. Additionally, you can change this pixel scale by changing it here. So if I'm just playing around and I want to find out, for example, okay, what will this look like on my GT81? Well, the pixel size is the same, 3.76 microns, which is the value of the ASI 1600 mm. You just get that from the camera's website. And then the focal length. So the GT81 is, with the reducer, is 382. And hit calculate, goes 2.031. So once I hit OK, you'll see the box shrunk. So now this is what I'm able to see. And then maybe if I move it around, I can fit a little bit more of the North American Nebula in. Or maybe I want this little area here. And I want to use my Edge HD 11-inch. So 3.76. And I say Edge HD 11-inch is 2800. That's far too high. Let's say I want to do with a reducer. So 1950 is my focal length. And I hit OK. It's this little box. Now I can get this nice image of this little section, which I don't know, and probably should image that. Let me go back to my Rokinon setup. So I'm going to get all this. And let's just put some random 22 degrees or something like that. And I'll show you why the angle of rotation is super important. Once you've set it all up, then you hit create sequence. And then you can hit replace targets. And I used to uncheck rotate or validate camera angle, but now I leave it. And now you see the targets there. If I hit the little settings icon, you can see that it pre-populated this. Regardless of whether you have a camera rotator or not, an electronic one or a manual one or not, always select manual rotator from the rotator box. You get that by hitting this little drop down, select manual rotator at the very least, and then connect it. Now what will happen is when you hit this little settings icon and you hit to center now, and it slews there, does the plate solving, all that. If it finds that the angle of rotation is off by more than like a couple of degrees, it will warn you. You'll get a little message, and it'll tell you what direction to turn the telescope in and by how much. And so you can do this in order to make sure that you have your angle correctly for whatever image you're trying to take. And this becomes super helpful when you're doing things like adding data. So I'm going to open up this image again. When we ran the plate solve, we found that, I believe it was like 90 degrees. There's the mandatory 10 seconds again. And there we go, 90.69 degrees. And this is NGC 6992. So I go to Tools, Framing and Mosaic Wizard. I do NGC 66992. And we'll do a 5-degree field of view. There it is. And if I do, this was with my my GT81, so I'm going to put 3.76, and GT81 is 382. Calculate. There we go. And we said it was 90 degrees. Okay. And now I can frame my image just right so that I can add to the data that I already have. So especially if you're adding from previous years, this is super helpful for being able to add to data like that. And you'll see here the frame is almost exactly the same. So I believe I had this star in here like this. So now I can add data to this image in a year, and I know that I'll be able to pull it back. Additionally, I could just browse to that image and it will like pull up the exact area, which is awesome. So there you have it. That's how you take all the guesswork out of framing, and you never have to worry about collecting lots of data and then having to figure it out after you've done a couple of nights of data collection or more. It's a super helpful tool, and I highly recommend you use it. Oh, one other thing before I forget. There's actually, in the Framing and Mosaic Wizard, you can do mosaics. So let me do this one more time. 3, 2, calculate, and pull this back. Okay, so there's one frame, right? But what if I wanted like more than one frame, right? I can select the whole area, and it will actually create all of the frames that I need for mosaic. Now this would be a very painful mosaic. It would take quite a while to do, but again, this tool makes it super easy, and I really highly recommend it. Okay, if you want to see more videos like this, then hit that subscribe button, and I would really appreciate your support. I'll be putting more things out there, and see you next time. Bye.